guys, what's good? This is Shayan, and you're listening to the Blue Inversion podcast or watching if you're on YouTube. So, today we are going to talk about sabbaticals or regular habits. If you don't already know, sabbaticals mean that you're going all into something. You're taking one thing that you're interested in or something that needs your attention, some skill you want to learn, maybe a software you want to learn, and then you block out a large amount of your time, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, or even months, and then you do not do anything else for that time period. You just wake up, work on that, do everything in your life, like socializing and all that stuff. Some people even trap themselves in their rooms and then just focus on that. And at the end, you just come out of it with the task finished, and then you get back to your normal routine. So that's a sabbatical. So before getting into today's topic, I'd like to say that you didn't see any output from me this Monday. That is because I'm taking a sabbatical for the next 2 weeks, including this week actually. So I'm taking a sabbatical from the 19th. That is the date comes out. This podcast comes out Tuesday to it's like the 2nd of April, I guess, 2 weeks. So I'm taking this so that I can release my product, which I have been sitting on for a very long time. And actually, you know what? I will show you a sneak peek today, which I internally released to my subscribers, the email subscribers. And as I was working, I thought I will share that. So today I want to share it to you guys as well. So let me just pull it up quickly. Okay. So these are all procedural shaders, and those who don't know, my product is actually a shader pack. So I make procedural shaders for Blender, and I'm really trying to innovate and push the limits of what is possible with this procedural workflow in Blender. So this is an example of it. I just shared a couple of shaders that are in there, and this is also not even cycles. This is like Eevee, and this is pretty real-time version. So it still looks good, but the cycles is way better, and it has real shader displacements, so that it's gonna be extremely realistic. So I'm really pushing the limits of what you can do with procedural shaders, and also with easy to use UI and controls. You can see on the right hand side, it's buffering for some reason. My internet is really sloppy today. Anyways, so this is another shader. This is the road shader that I made. I see that there is a lack of good road material textures. Even if you have some, it's like you have to UV unwrap very properly so that it lines up and all that stuff. So I made a procedural shader for it, and you can practically change any setting for it. You can even add your own functionalities to it if you are an advanced user. So all that stuff. So these are the two shaders that I actually released as a test and see the reaction of people. So I took some feedback, so I just want to finish the product and then put it out into the public and make an official release. I first released this already to my internal audience, and it was like a version, you can say a beta release, but I didn't do it that way. It's not a beta, it's like a version 1. It's supposed to be a beta, but I called it a version 1. I don't know for what reason, but yeah, that's what happened. So now I have to call it something else, like version 2 or 1.1. I don't know. So I will release it in this sabbatical week. This sabbatical couple weeks, 14 days of sabbatical, that's it. And I will come out with the podcast episode, of course. Don't worry about that if you like my podcast. So I will come out with the podcast for sure. And I will talk about the product itself, some of the features maybe, and I can even take some Q&A or maybe future roadmap for the products. If you guys are interested, we can arrange such an episode. So yeah, I'm not missing the podcast. So it's a sabbatical, but still I will have the podcast to just relax myself a little bit, because I love doing the podcast, right? And then that's it. I just made that announcement so that you guys are aware of what is going on. And if you think I have suddenly stopped posting the artworks for some reason, so I'll be back to making the artworks as well. I actually have a very functional time schedule. It's a new schedule that I've made. I will be working on different things that I'm interested in different parts of the month. I will make a podcast episode on how my time schedule works. So you'll get a better explanation on that one. But the basic idea is I have a lot of things going on, like the procedural shader thing. I'm really interested in all the things that you can do in Blender, like pushing the limits with procedural and vector displacements and stuff. So that's something I explore. Also, the concept art, as you might have already guessed, and also the tutorials that I come up with and the products. So these things are my primary interests. And as they say that you have to focus on one thing at a time, so that's fair enough. It works very well, that structure. And I started with the concept art thing, but turns out that it's very hard for me to completely stop working on the other things and only focus on one thing, because I love each of these subjects equally and to a high degree. So it really feels like I'm missing out on on a lot of fun working on the shaders also. So I'm trying to strike a balance with the schedule, so that I can also come up with more interesting stuff, more variety in this podcast, and also more variety of content as a whole. And also I'll be able to work on all of this interest that I have on a regular basis. So I do not have to wait like 1 year of, I do not have to work like 1 year of concept art, then 1 year of like, you get the idea. So first of all, this whole conversation started in my mind from this fact that making everydays is a good idea, but there's no one solution, one general solution for everybody. So everydays is a good exercise to do to learn something, but might not work for everyone. And that's basically what I have felt, because I'll still be doing concept art every day. Like I have basically made a rough plan that I'll be making 2 art series every month. And that art series, when I work on the art series, I will only give myself the same amount of time that I'm giving myself to work on each concept. And then also the rest of the time in the month, I will be working on the software. So you can say that's the basic idea of the new schedule that I have. But the main origin of this is that since there's no one solution to your problem for each person, because there are so many variables and we are so much different from each other, and the way our brain and people around us, our surroundings, are so varied that you cannot have one solution to solve every problem of yours. And time management is one of those. So if you go on the internet and you are looking for time management advice, then there are not time management actually. You are looking for advice on how to master a skill, how to attain mastery on something. So let's say concept art or procedural shaders or making tutorials, making products. These are the things I'm doing, right? So how to attain mastery in this? Of course, it's going to take a long time, but what is the rank ordered best, most efficient way to learn and execute on this? So there are 2 schools of thoughts for that. One is the everydays, of course. Always keep like a small amount of time, maybe 1 or 2 hours every day, even less if you cannot afford that much amount of time, and do that thing every day. Have a basic idea of what to learn, and then keep learning, picking up new ideas every day and learn that way. And also you'll be producing work that way. So that's fine. The inspiration mainly came from Beeple, Mike Winkelmann. If you don't already know, he has been making 3D artworks every day for more than a decade now. And looking back at the first 3 weeks, the execution side was fine. I loved it. I'm improving a lot. and I enjoyed a lot. Actually, I made more art than ever. But the problem is that concept art is not the only thing that I love. So that is the problem. It's hard to manage things like making procedural shaders because it is almost like programming. It is a visual language that Blender has with the nodes, so you can program a algorithm to come up with this shapes and shading algorithms. So that takes time, and it is different from concept art. So you can do everydays with concept art. You can even do everydays with a shader, but working every day on this and then also focusing on a product, you cannot just balance that. It's a different muscle in your brain to make a product, like how the whole thing comes together, the customer experience, how the UI works, and you cannot just put very great procedural materials in one pack and release it. At least that's how I see it. So I have to think about the design and how to package them, getting customer feedback, thinking on a problem for a long time, maybe some UV unwrapping issues, and some feature requests that I got. They take time. You have to think about it for days, and then you can come up with some solution. And it takes it. So what I'm saying is that it requires you to analyze the problem for a long time. You have to be involved with that problem only for a long time so that you can come up with a solution. You have to give your brain that breathing space so that it can get in the zone. So switching tasks so fast, it does not work for that kind of problems like programming or making shaders in Blender. So these are the type of things that require a long stretch of time to come up with a good thing, with a good product, maybe. So that was the problem with daily deadlines. It's not like I cannot balance the concept art and the shading, but it will get really slow on the production. So maybe I can come up with the product in 2-3 months, but that's because I'm switching tasks very fast. But if I focus on the product only, then maybe I can come up with it in a week. So that week is too much. If I can do 2 months of unfocused work on the shader in maybe 3 weeks time, if I'm completely all into that, taking a sabbatical. So that's the basic idea. That's why I'm considering taking sabbaticals alongside doing everydays and finding a right balance of the everydays and sabbaticals. And I'm not a black and white person on this. I do not have very strong opinion about this yet because I haven't tried the sabbatical. So once I try the sabbatical, I can have a strong opinion and compare both of them. For myself, I'm still not speaking for you. If everydays forever works for you, then go for it. But I think sabbaticals is something I need right now to tackle all these other interests that I have. And sabbatical and everydays, if I can balance those in a good amount, maybe I'm having a best of both world kind of schedule, then that would be the dream come true for me, actually. And the thing with me is that I do not want to think all the time what to do next. So I like to keep a month of time blocked out for me. So I do not have specific tasks to do that I write down a week ago, or maybe extreme if things come up suddenly, then I will write it down the night before I start working on it. So next day I wake up, I have a list of things to do in that day. So that's sorted out. But I need this time blocks that what are the broad topics that I'll be working on in the morning. What is the thing I'm going to work on in the afternoon, in the evening? So it's like I'm working on shaders now. Then I'll be working on a tutorial. Thus, all the different specific stuff I'm doing in that topic can change for the day. It can be some maybe I'm editing the video one day, maybe I'm recording. That's fine. But what the broad topic should be already defined so that I know that today I'll be working on the tutorial and making a shader. That's it. So I'm in the zone, I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to remember where I last left off. So all these things are required for me. So I'm really trying to come up with a perfect time schedule for myself, so that I can just be like a machine, at least for the time management. And then I just look at my Google Calendar and know what to work on. So I do not want to waste any amount of brain power on thinking about what to do next. I just want to focus on the work and to how to make it better every time I show up, so that so that helps a lot, so that I can focus all my energy on the actual thinking and designing of these things. So that was about the everydays, but the sabbatical concept is pretty new to me. It's like it's been maybe a couple of years ago I came to know about the sabbatical concept, that a lot of people are really taking sabbaticals. And the main source of this inspiration for sabbaticals actually came from Vitaly Vilgarov. If you do not know about him, then a short introduction will be: he's the best at hard surface modeling, and he doesn't use Blender, unfortunately. But I think he checked out the hard surface add-on hard ops, and he has good things to say about that. But other than that, he's not using Blender as far as I know. He uses other software, like I guess he uses Moi 3D or stuff like that. I don't know what he uses. Like, seriously, what does Vitaly use? Vitaly Bulgarov software, right? No, actually, if he has an ArtStation, then actually we can find it, I guess. Yeah, so let us find it actually with you guys. So this is Vitaly Bulgarov, and he is a big inspiration for me. I'm not into the hard surface modeling side of things, but oh my god, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that list of softwares. I know that he used Softimage, I guess that's what it's called. 3D Coat and Moi 3D, I guess. Actually, I will edit this part out, you know. So what I was saying was that so whatever software he uses, that's not Blender. That's all I know. So yeah, so he actually takes sabbaticals, and that he was saying in an interview that how he learned ZBrush in 5 days, like at least the basics of it, by taking a sabbatical for 5 days. So that really struck me 2 years ago. Then I heard him talk about that in a few other in few other scenarios. And then also I came to know about sabbaticals, the whole thing. I read up a lot of articles on that. So yeah, so the fact is that sabbaticals are actually a great way of working. And unknowingly, I have been taking a lot of sabbaticals because when you actually work on something for days, because you are basically unmotivated and you do not have any schedule. So I was not posting anything online, but I was working on the product for a long time. So that is a kind of a sabbatical. So I know that working constant, like being determined and working on something for a long time works. So that is a really effective way of learning something or getting some problem solved. So that's for sure. So the inspiration comes from Vitaly, I have to say. And that's the initial inspiration. Then I researched and talked, and read up a lot of articles and stuff, and other people's experience with sabbaticals. So that's that. But the main inspiration and this idea of like completely different school of thought as compared to the everydays was something relatively new to me. And all props go to Vitaly Bulgarov for that. So basically what I'm trying to do is I am taking a mix of the sabbatical and everydays concept and then coming up with a hybrid time schedule for myself, basically. And for a long time I used to think that my time schedule should be really simple and it should repeat every day, like at least I should have a weekly framework which repeats every week, and that should be the highest level of complication that I have with my schedule. What I recently did is that my my goals are a little bit complicated because I'm trying to juggle a lot of different things, which all need a very high amount of focus for a sustained amount of time. So I thought that it is a complicated problem, so I might need complicated solution for that. So that's when I thought about having a really complicated time schedule, at least complicated in the sense that I'm working on a variety of things in a month while also giving it enough time. So definitely I'm working longer hours, but I'm getting 8 hours of sleep every day because I focus on sleep a lot. That helps you learn. That helps you speed up the data processing in your brain. Like whatever you learned throughout your day will be better, will be much more effective if you are sleeping right. So sleep is there, eating is there, everything is there, but it's just managed in a different way that in a month I can come up with tutorials, I can come up with new product or updates to my older product, and then also I can come up with art series. 2 art series is my target, and also I can come up and I can also work on some software and shaders. So that's it for today, I guess. We still have another artwork for the time lapse, so I think I will just do some random talk for the rest of this. And I know that very few people listen till this part of the podcast. So if you have decided already to listen to me for this long, so I guess I can talk some off-topic stuff now. So let's see what we can talk about today. I think it's a good time to talk about a few things. If you already don't know, then I have another channel, a secondary YouTube channel, you can say, where I post some answers to questions. And recently, I had a client. He wanted to learn Blender, and we had a primary project going on, but he wanted me to make this Adidas slider model for him, and he wanted some help on that. So I decided on making that 1 hour long tutorial, and I put it up on the archive channel, so you can check it out if you want. It's hour long and step by step. It doesn't have very good editing, of course, because it's archive. It's not the actual primary channel. So if you're interested to learn in modeling, then you can check that out. I used some pretty good tricks, and since I'm narrating the whole thing, then you can pick up a few things here and there about modeling. And if you like the sneaker tutorials, then I guess you'll find that one interesting as well. Other than that, what else can we talk about? Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me this thing, that how I come up with the this painterly effect in Krita. So what I actually do is that I have this, like everybody has this brush in Krita. That's this rake brush. And I just go in and paint over that and kind of blend everything together using that brush so that it has that nice trail effect on it. So that really works out for me. I've been trying to explore some other brushes, and because this is very limiting to me, because if I keep using the rake brush the way I do, then most of my artworks will start looking the same. So I've been experimenting with a lot of stuff, and also I add some actual noise at the end. And the Krita noise is much more good looking, actually, like the kind of noise you get in movie films, like the digital camera video noise. So I think I like that kind of noise a lot. But the noise cycles come up with, it's like the firefly effect. So that's not really good. So I use a denoiser there, and then when I'm in Krita, then I just add some other noise. Also, for a few works, I have used a canvas texture. So That has been pretty useful for me. I just take the canvas texture and put it up in a different layer, and then just use grain merge with them, and then I did do some transparency layer painting so that some part of it shows through and the other part doesn't, so it gives you a nice looking canvas effect. I don't know how well of a job I did on explaining that. Actually, today's podcast was pretty well organized, I guess. So we finished it on time before the time lapse ended, and then I'm just bullshitting now. So I guess I'll take my leave now. I hope you enjoyed the whole. I was gonna say tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the whole podcast so far. And if you have any suggestions for the episodes or any questions you have that I can address in the next episode, then that would be great. And tutorials are coming up. Don't worry, I'm working on a tutorial, but it will take some time because I'm going to release the product first, and I'm thinking of releasing a trailer for the product, so that will be something exciting to look forward to. Other than that, take care and let me know what you think in the comments, and keep the emails coming. I just want to say that I'm surprised, and I really love all the support that you guys are showing for this podcast. Hundreds of people listening to them every week. You guys are coming up and giving your precious time to this video and this podcast. So thank you so much for watching. Today's episode got a little bit left field and off topic, but anyways, it's a laid back show, so I guess we don't mind that. See you on the next one. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you on the next episode. This was Shayan from Blue Inversion.